What's up, everyone? My name is Priyak Juthani. I'm an MDMA student here at Yale, and today I want to talk to you a bit about just some lessons that I think I have learned in medical school, and also some of my mentors have passed down to me that I wanted to share. Hopefully, these help you both as a pre-med student, or even if you're a medical student who is pretty early on in the journey. So I'm just going to go through each of these slides and elaborate on them accordingly. So the first lesson that I've learned is to not take things personally, especially in the heat of the moment when you're in the hospital or when you're around people. Sometimes things can come off that may sound a little bit more harsh than they're intended to be. I have learned to kind of take myself back a little bit and understand that there's so many attributes that affect an individual, and just because something comes out, it's very easy for it to get misconstrued. So, with that being said, always take things with a grain of salt and take things as a learning opportunity. If someone either forgets to include you in a meeting or if someone makes you feel excluded, it's chances are it's not because they have a vendetta against you. There's just a lot on their mind, and it's okay that that happened. Chances are people just have so much on their plate that it's very, very easy to get caught up and say things that, in any other context may seem a little bit harsh. But again, we are all in this together. And when we are in healthcare, it's very important to just empathize and realize that sometimes all of us say things that maybe we don't entirely mean. So never take things too personally unless it's consistent. If it's consistent, then you may actually want to think about and talk to the person who you're receiving these messages from. But chances are any offhand comment or anything that you're thinking happened for the first time probably isn't intended to be personal. The second tip is that we're all in healthcare, and it's very easy to get caught up in healthcare and think that we're here to provide the best care possible. But one important thing to acknowledge is that we're humans first and then healthcare professionals. So, with that being said, just remember to treat everyone with a certain level of kindness and respect that we often take for granted. And the whole reason I say we're human first and then healthcare professionals second is because when we take ourselves as healthcare professionals, I think we sometimes neglect these things that we all need as humans, which is this desire to just make sure we're looking out for each other and to be kind and to understand that life is just so much more than, all of these tasks that are in front of us today. And so just remember that when you are either a med student and you're talking to a nurse, remember that the nurse also has a lot on his or her plate. Or if you're a resident talking to an attending, just remembering that there's always so many factors acting on all of us, and that the most we can do to each other is to be kind. Because trust me, there's just always so much on everyone's plate. And being kind doesn't just apply to others; it also applies to yourself. So be kind to yourself. If you're having a tough time and you need time to exercise, or you need time to call your family, do that. Because as I said, you're a human first and a healthcare provider second. Take care of the things that make you human and allow you to function for you to make sure you take care of others appropriately. The third point is kind of along the same line, which is to take the time to reflect. I think one of the reasons I've been able to process a lot of medical school and understand a lot of medical school is because I've taken the time to reflect on what impacted me deeply and what I need to do to change. I learned the type of leader I am, and I also learned about the types of things that impact me greatly and sometimes just require a little bit more introspection to do. So for me, this would take the form of taking a lot of long walks during my clerkship year, especially when I saw something that maybe I had never seen before in the form of either a death or a tragic patient outcome. And just realizing, like, what does this say about me, and what about this impacted me? Is it because the patient reminded me of my mom? Is it because the fact that the patient reminded me of a family member? Or is the fact that this experience hit me so hard indicative of something that maybe I didn't fully adapt to as a normal human? So for example, when I first saw death, I actually realized part of the reason it hit me so hard is because I had not come to terms with the death of my grandparents, because I wasn't around for them. And that was really important for me to reflect on that, because I just realized that a lot of stuff you see in medicine, most other people will never see and therefore may not ever need to really think about. But for us, we actually need to come to terms with that pretty early on, just because it's like the rest of our career. We're going to see a lot of suffering. We're going to see a lot of pain. We're going to have to take a lot of tests. And it's just a career unlike any other. And for that reason, we really need to get into this mindset of learning to reflect on things earlier, because if we don't do that, I think we just end up bottling things up. and it can become really unhealthy and ultimately down the road lead to consequences which can just be avoided. So just take that time to really reflect, especially if you start realizing you're having a lot of cognitive dissonance. You're having a lot of thoughts that just make you feel a little loopy, a little upside down on the inside. Maybe those thoughts deserve a little bit more of your time. And trust me, it's really worth your time to reflect on them, even if it comes at the expense of studying and doing all those things that a good medical student will do. Just because it will tell you a bit more about yourself, and it will ultimately make you a better physician, at least I think, in the long run. But who am I to say? I'm not even a physician yet, right? Three more tips for you guys. First, of the remaining three, the first one is to practice gratitude. Gratitude is so important because I think we're on a treadmill. Medicine is a treadmill. And almost always that treadmill makes us feel like we are just behind. We're not running the same level as someone else. Maybe we're not on track to graduate. Maybe we aren't as smart as the next person. And because of that, we always see ourselves as lower than the bar. And we get so used to seeing ourselves as lower than the bar that actually can lead to a very positive feedback loop that's very negative overall for your health, right? If you consistently see yourself as behind, I'm not as good as this, I'm not living up to expectations, I'm not doing this, which I think unfortunately is a cycle in medicine, then you can get very in a very bad place mentally. And one way to get around this is with gratitude. So if the bar is here, gratitude allows you to move yourself a little bit more up. Think about all the things you're grateful for. Think about all the things that went right today. Think about all the things that had to go right for you to be sitting in your room watching this video, right? There's a lot of good things that happen. But unfortunately, when you're living on a life which is dictated by an external treadmill that's showing you you're here, it's very hard to acknowledge those things. It's like, who cares about, being here when I have so much homework to do? And that's a fair thought. But at the same time, also think about like how lucky we are to all be sitting here. It's very cheesy. But at least I've found that practicing gratitude is one step up and actually has helped me in one of the darkest times that I've had in my life to just realize, like, okay, here are the things that are going right today. Just the simple moment of acknowledging the things that are going right can be great for you. And I know I said I had actually had three things, but I actually lied. I only have one more thing for you. And that thing is to ask for what you need. Be very transparent in medicine. The more communication you have, the better. And I actually think that there's no such thing as too much communication in medicine, primarily because you're dealing with people's lives. You're working as a team doing it. And so you need to be very open. So here's how this would go. I start a rotation. First thing I would tell the resident is, hey, my name is Prerak. If we can set 5 minutes aside today, I'd love to just tell you what my goals are, my strengths and weaknesses, and stuff that I'm looking to improve. Just by setting those 5 minutes aside and then telling my resident, hey, I'm actually really nervous. I struggle a lot with maybe some things that other med students may not struggle with, and let me give you some examples of that. But my strengths are the fact that I will always try to learn, I'll show up on time, and I'm going to be very proactive anytime I feel like maybe I'm not caught up. That's just me being very transparent with you, and I'd love to make sure I live up to your expectations. So can you tell me what those expectations are? Be very transparent about who you are. And just by doing that up front, you'd be surprised at how much easier that makes life down the road. Because now you know what the resident expects, you do the same thing with the attending, and honestly, I do the same thing. I've had a few entrepreneurial ventures, and I lead the team. And even in those ventures, I make it very obvious where I say, hey, everyone, we need to be very transparent. If something about me pisses you off, tell me what it is. If something I did pisses you off, please tell me. Because if you hold it in, it just creates, as I said, a loop. If there's any theme that you get from today, it's that holding things in is very unhealthy. So ask for what you need, be transparent, and that kind of summarizes all of the tips that I had for you all today. So let's just go through them one last time. Do not take things personally. People are generally human, very nice people, and they don't mean to hurt you, and sometimes things just come out incorrectly. So don't take them too personally. Remember that you are a human first, as is anyone else, so treat them like a human and treat yourself like a human. Address your needs and address the things you need to be happy, and that will ultimately make you a better physician, at least I think. Take the time to reflect on things, especially if they rub you in a wrong way. Try to think about why they rub you in that way and see what ultimately that says about you and how you can be better. Practice gratitude, because if there's one thing that life is really good at making us do is to make us feel like we're below the bar when, we actually have a lot of things going right. Last but not least, ask for what you need, be transparent, be open. You'd be very surprised at how much individuals appreciate that. And I hope these tips help all of you as you start your rotations, or even if you're just applying to medical school. These are things that I think you, from day one, will really help you. So if you did like this video, please drop a like, comment, share, subscribe, and I really appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to watch this. Thanks for watching. Peace.